Hello friends, this is from Chambers. Today we are going to discuss an important topic of the autonomic nervous system. We are going to end this topic actually. Uh, it's a most important topic known as the glaucoma, the drugs which can be used in the glaucoma. Actually, it was a suggestion of many students to make a video on this because they were confused about this. Because you need a previous knowledge of eye and ophthalmology or something. So I would try to integrate pathology, ophthalmology, and pharmacology. Okay, so I would like you to whatever you have learned in your anatomy or something, just remove it. Just clear your brain for some time. Just clear as if you don't know anything. Okay, so learn this as a fresh topic. Okay, fine. Everyone in the classroom. Okay, so take it as a fresh topic. Whatever you have learned about the eye, just remove it. Okay. So let me first start with glaucoma. Let me first tell the definition of glaucoma. What is glaucoma? Glaucoma means basically a progressive damage. First is the progressive damage. It is the progressive damage to the optic nerve. Why damage is happening to the optic nerve? Is there any infection? Is there any tumor? Is there any obstruction? No, sir. There is raised intraocular pressure. If you increase, you have a pressure in your eye due to the fluids. You have, I hope you have read, at least you have listened about this aqueous humor, vitreous humor. So they will have their pressures. So if I talk about the aqueous humor, that aqueous humor is actually a fluidy, it's a fluid. So it can move, it can be produced, it can get, it can get drained. Okay. While as vitreous humor is a jelly sort of a thing. Right? It's a jelly. So this aqueous humor, if this aqueous humor due to any cause is increasing, or I can say in simple words to make it simple, if there is a raised intraocular pressure, if there is a raised intraocular pressure, I will say, so raised intraocular pressure, which will lead to optic nerve damage, will be called glaucoma. Are we clear? Okay. And it's not something, this glaucoma is not something that you would be definitely attributing to an increased intraocular pressure, the pressure in the eye hitting the back of the optic nerve. No, it's a multifactorial disease. It's a multifactorial. What do we mean by multifactorial? We should, to be more precise, I would say it's a multifactorial optic neuropathy. Optic neuropathy. It's a multifactorial optic neuropathy. Okay. And this multifactorial optic neuropathy will be having some risk factors. For example, this can be a risk factor that if you are increasing due to any cause the intraocular pressure, let me write the full name, intraocular pressure. If you are increasing the intraocular pressure, or you have a strong family history, you have a strong family history of glaucoma, you have a strong family history of glaucoma. Now this glaucoma can be either, it can be a congenital glaucoma or it can be acquired glaucoma. Okay, let me give it a ophthalmological correlation. Okay, this glaucoma can be congenital glaucoma or it can be you can also call it congenital as developmental. It can be congenital developmental glaucoma or it can be acquired. It can be acquired glaucoma. This congenital glaucoma will be further, I won't take it so much to that level of ophthalmology, but just giving you the idea. Okay, so this congenital developmental glaucoma can be further of three types. It can be a, let me make it like this, it can be a true congenital, it can be infantile, and it can be juvenile. Juvenile. Okay, let me make it there. So juvenile. Okay, Now, what is the meaning of this true congenital? True congenital means when the baby was born, then that fetus was born, with that he was born with this. Okay, he was true congenital. The child was born with this. Child was born with this. Fine. What about infantile? Infantile means if it is less than 3 years of age. If it's less than 3 years of age. And juvenile means 3 years to adolescence. 3 years to adolescence. Okay. Okay. And these two are also known as true congenital and infantile. They both are also known as by other name, that is called Boop-Thalmos. Boop-Thalmos. Okay, Boop-Thalmos. Fine. What about this acquired? Okay, just giving you a correlation, because mostly exam is integrated, so that's why I'm telling like this. Okay, so acquired will be, acquired can be two types. It can be an open angle glaucoma. It can be angle closure. Okay, angle closure glaucoma. Angle closure glaucoma. We're discussing about this angle. Okay, don't worry about this. Just listen first. Okay, this is the story. So here in this pharmacology, I am concerned. We will be using the drugs. We'll be using the drugs, but here I am concerned about what? Here I will be telling you first the difference between open angle glaucoma, closed angle glaucoma, isn't it? Angle closure glaucoma. Why, sir, you are going to take us to pathology? Because when you understand pathology, then only you can understand what to treat, isn't it? Guys, what's up? I hope you are sleeping. So you should at least, know, you are directly, I have seen so many in the, even in my MBBS classroom, what used to happen, that teacher used to directly, jump to the drugs for glaucoma, but I was not able. I was lost in, in the sky where I am giving this drug. So to make this a different video, I want you to first understand the glaucoma disease, then only you can treat that condition, then only you can understand the side effects. Okay, so have a look here, please. Okay, so I want to first discuss what is this glaucoma happening. See, you should know that your aqueous humor is being produced by what? Who produces aqueous humor? Aqueous humor is produced by ciliary processes. Ciliary processes produce aqueous humor. Aqueous humor. First concept is this. This ciliary process which is present, let me make like this. So this ciliary process if I make an eye like this, okay, this is a lateral view. I'm cutting through the, I'm giving you a lateral picture. Okay, so this is my lens. This is my lens. Okay, and it's connected with this, and you have these ciliary processes here. Okay, you have this ciliary processes here. Okay, just giving you a simple, it's a simple. Don't need to go into anatomy. Okay, now what will happen is, this is the lens in the middle. Now you should have a look here. Make it like this. Just a second. Okay, now it's working. Okay, I'm having this. Okay, now to show like this. Okay, now guys, you tell me, this, I take this ciliary process here. Okay, I bring this ciliary process anatomically. I want to see what it is. Okay, ciliary process. So I will check what is the structure of this ciliary process. If I get this ciliary process here, what is present inside the ciliary process? We have some blood vessels inside. We have some blood vessels inside. Okay, we have a region around this, that is stroma. This is stroma. This is stroma. Okay, this is stromal region. So this is stromal region. Fine. This stromal region. Stroma. This is the blood vessels. Fine. And I am having a non-pigmented epithelium here. I am having from outside a non-pigmented epithelium. Let me make it like this. Non-pigmented epithelium from outside and pigmented epithelium from inside. Making it easy. Pigmented. Let us make it pigmented. Pigmented epithelium. Pigmented epithelium from inside. Are we clear? I hope there is no doubt. We are learning in a sequential process. This is the non-pigmental epithelium. Non-pigmental epithelium. And this is the pigmental epithelium. Pigmental epithelium. Okay. Now this non-pigmented epithelium is having a pump. It is having a pump with it. Okay, it's having a pump. Let us take a different color. So it is having a pump. How to make a pump? Okay, let me make it like this. So it is having a pump here. It is having a pump. Which color should I use? I should use sky blue color. So it is having a pump. It is having a pump. This pump is called sodium potassium ATPase. This pump is called sodium potassium ATPase pump. Now let me talk about this pump. Okay, this sodium potassium ATPase, what it does is, this is the place where your aqueous humor is formed. Long back ago, I was in the auditorium. I was giving a lecture in a university, and in a crowd of I think around 150 people in that crowd. Majority of them were for third, fourth year medical students. So I asked them, where is this being formed? So they actually this site was not known to them. I think this is the most important site to understand where you are forming the aqueous humor basically. So it is this pump which is producing that aqueous humor in the ciliary process. Is this whole is a ciliary process? Okay, friends, are we able to understand? So it's forming the aqueous humor. It's forming the aqueous humor. And not only this, this site is not only the site for aqueous humor formation. This site is also having what? Diffusion and ultrafiltration. Diffusion and ultrafiltration. Ultrafiltration. Okay, anyone from second year, have you read the anatomy of eye and physiology of vision? Second, third year, anyone? Have you read the anatomy of vision? Anatomy of eye. Have you read it? Guys, where are you people? Okay, no one is answering. So let me again continue. Okay. So this is the place where your aqueous will form. Now, sir, what was the relation with this diagram? The diagram relation is that this is your iris here. This is your iris. Let me make an iris. This is the iris. This is my iris. Now, this will become the posterior chamber. Posterior chamber. Okay. Posterior chamber. This will become the anterior chamber. This will become the anterior chamber. We will understand. This is posterior chamber. This is anterior chamber. First, we need to understand concept. See, that means if you have to understand this glaucoma concept, you should understand how this aqueous humor is flowing, not aqueous tumor, isn't it? It's not aqueous tumor, it is aqueous humor. What? Aqueous humor. So you should know the normal circulation of this aqueous humor, isn't it? So let me make a life easy for you. See, I will use which pen should I use? I should use a different pen. let me take this pen, okay? Yeah. Now see guys, if I want, you should first understand what is the physiology of aqueous humor circulation. What is the physiology of aqueous humor circulation? See, the site of production is dash. The site of production is dash. First concept is this. The site of production is dash. The site of production is ciliary process. Ciliary process is the site for production. From the ciliary process, once you are producing it, what will happen? It will start coming to what chamber? Posterior chamber. It's coming from the posterior chamber, flows towards the posterior chamber. From the posterior chamber, it flows towards the pupil. Okay, crosses the pupil. So this pupil, after crossing, where does it go? It will reach the anterior chamber. From the anterior chamber, it will reach the angle. It will reach the angle. This is the angle. This is the angle, guys. This is the angle. Fine. This is the angle. Let me take a colorful pen. This is the angle. This region is the angle. Okay. Done. Now this angle, once it reaches that angle, what is the color? Once it reaches that angle, what happens is here you have around this region, you have trabecular meshwork. Around this region, let me remove these. You have trabecular meshwork. What you have? Trabecular meshwork. You have trabecular meshwork here. Okay, trabecular meshwork you have here. Make it like this. Okay, so trabecular meshwork. This trabecular meshwork. So once this is flowing, it will move towards the trabecular meshwork. It will move towards the trabecular meshwork. Then it will go into the Schlemm canal. What? Schlemm canal. Schlemm canal. Okay. Okay. And where then it will go? Who can tell me? It goes into the episcleral vein. You have a system around this which is called the episcleral venous system. Episcleral venous system. It will go into episcleral venous system. Okay. So this is the normal circulation. First you started from the ciliary body, you reached the posterior chamber, went to the pupil, went to the anterior chamber, reached the angle, trabecular meshwork, Schlemm canal, episcleral venous system. This route is the major route of circulation of aqueous humor. This route is the major route. Major route. Please remember this question. This is an important question. Around, I think 90% of the aqueous is being, it's going through this route. Okay, so major, conventional route. I can say it's a conventional route. Are we clear, friends? Are we clear with this concept? Okay. No nostril, man, no, not like that. Okay. So this is the conventional route. Then there should be also, if sir, you have told there is 90%, then there should be some 10% which is also going through. Then there is another outflow that is called uveoscleral. Let me write. So I have two ways, two circulations. One is a conventional circulation. Another is I can say emergency also. Okay, I can say this conventional circulation is called, this is a conventional circulation, and here I will write like this: uveoscleral outflow. Okay, fine. Now conventional route is contributing around how much? 90%. This is contributing around how much? 10% of the aqueous humor circulation. Okay, so what is this uveoscleral outflow? Sir, directly, if you directly drain, see, it should not normally happen, but we'll be using in some emergency way. Okay, So this is my ciliary body. From the ciliary body, I am directly reaching the episcleral system. Directly reaching the episcleral system. This is called uveoscleral outflow. Are we clear? Are we clear, friends? So if you directly are taking a shortcut, okay, but your conventional route is okay. Just remember like that. This will help you remember. Okay. Are we having any doubt? Have you understood at least first the physiology of psych? I first taught you anatomy and physiology. Then only you can reach the pharmacology. It's not possible then to understand the drugs, how glaucoma you are treating in patients. Do you know how many patients we have in the glaucoma? Like we have the hypertension. Do you know that? Do you know this fact? How many people we have in glaucoma? The patients, majority coming to the hospitals, ophthalmology units. Okay, so it's not a childish disease. Disease you have to take every disease as serious because we are concerned about the patients. You have to read every disease in minute details. Then only you can treat. If you don't know how these things are being made, how can you? It's not possible. It's not possible. Okay, guys, please read the basics first. Then only you can understand a disease, pathogenesis, pathophysiology. So this uveoscleral outflow, you can remember it as a shortcut. It's a shortcut, like you people do shortcuts in life, isn't it? But there are no shortcuts in MBBS. There is all conceptual. So shortcuts, you have to remember what? Uveoscleral outflow, but this is the longest route. Long cut, not cut, long route. So see, body is following a long route. Why will you follow shortcut, isn't it? So what is then, sir, what is the meaning of the angle and angle closure glaucoma? Okay, so let me tell you the difference between open angle glaucoma and angle closure glaucoma. If I make this diagram again, if I make this diagram again, I will take which color I took here. Which color did I take? Where was the diagram? Yeah, the diagram is here. Okay, I'm searching for this diagram. So if I make the same green color to make keep you oriented with it, so I will make like this. This is my lens in the middle. The ligaments, ciliary process, and anterior chamber. Then I will be making now systemic iris, iris. So this is the anterior chamber. Posterior chamber, not this. This is the posterior chamber. Okay, this is the posterior behind the iris. See the posterior chamber. Posterior chamber. Okay. Now see, to understand glaucoma, just have a look here. If I don't have any problem at this region. Let me take red pen. Listen to me, guys. Listen to me. Have a look on this diagram. Later you will write. If I have any block in this region, if I have block in it, this is normally open because the fluid can circulate. The aqueous humor can come into the anterior chamber very nice. But if I have a block due to any reason to the flow, you have made a pupillar constriction or something. Okay, if you block at this pupil region, are we listening, guys? Is the audio clear? First give me a thumbs up that audio is clear, then I can proceed. I won't stop, then I will be continuing okay. If there is no block at this region, that means aqueous can't flow anteriorly. Aqueous can't flow anteriorly, isn't it? Aqueous can't flow anteriorly, isn't it? This is your head and this is okay. I hope you understand, you are oriented. Okay, this is your nose. At least you remember this is your nose. Are we clear, guys? This is the cornea which is from the outside, isn't it? Are we oriented first or we are thinking where this is? Okay, I hope you can understand. I can't make an eye on the eye because it's already eye which we are talking. Okay, so this aqueous can't flow anteriorly, guys. Can't flow. Very poor aqueous can't flow. Is not allowed to go out. He is not allowed to come into the anterior chamber due to any cause blockage at the pupil site. Another problem can be also there. If I have an obliteration of this region, what was the region? This was the angle. I have obliteration at the angle space. This is called angle space. If I have obliteration of this angle space, if I have obliteration of this angle space, if this condition is there where you are blocking the pupil site or you are blocking or obliterating the flow of aqueous at the angle space, these two conditions will be called angle closure glaucoma. Now you people are so much wise and so much intelligent. You will tell me, where will the fluid now go? Will it cause an increase in the intraocular pressure? Will it cause an increase in the intraocular pressure, guys? The fluid is not able to, we are not able to send the fluid into the anterior chamber and then into the angle in the trabecular meshwork going into the episcleral venous system. No. You are stopping the system here only, guys. How can the fluid? Now you will be having an increase, rise in the intraocular pressure. So these two conditions will cause, that's why we are seeing glaucoma. What pressure? That 21 mmHg, that will be saying later. But first we need to understand what is happening. Are we clear, guys? Now I am telling you, I am giving you next difference. This was about angle closure glaucoma. If I now say these are totally normal, I say now these are totally normal. Let me take a color, different color. Let me take a different color. Which color to take? Pink. Let us take pink color. Okay, pink color can be seen. Yeah. So stroke eraser. Okay, I remove this. I remove this also. I remove this also. Now I'm telling you. Let me mark them again. Now I am telling you, this is, guys, this is normal. Let us give a tick. Let us give a tick. This is normal. This is normal. But the problem is here. The problem is here, guys. The problem is here. Trabecular meshwork, the problem is here, guys. Problem is here. This condition where you have a patent pupil. No, pupil is nice. The angle is also patent. You have a nice aqueous flow going through the angle, but trabecular meshwork is blocked. Your drainage component is blocked. Can I say that drainage component is blocked? Who will not say yes or no? I will actually come, isn't it? Drainage component is compromised. Drainage component is compromised. This condition in which the drainage component, this trabecular meshwork is blocked. Trabecular meshwork is blocked. Trabecular meshwork is blocked. This condition is called as open angle glaucoma. I will tell you also, now this is also done. Will it also cause the increase in the intraocular pressure? Yes, sir. This is also going to cause increase in the intraocular. IOP will get high. In this case also, IOP will get high. IOP will get high, high, high. Everywhere high. Here also IOP will get high. Okay. Both conditions we are having high IOPs. High IOPs. Now this is okay. Sir, do we have, now you are not asking any question, I will be asking to myself, is there any condition in which aqueous will be secreted more? Is there any condition where aqueous will be secreted more? Yes, there is a condition where even aqueous is hypersecretory. That is called hypersecretory glaucoma. To give you more knowledge, hypersecretory glaucoma. I will be making videos on ophthalmology maybe in the next year. Okay, ending this year, no, finishing very busy life. I'll be making full video series on this. Okay, don't worry. So hypersecretory, we call it hypersecretory glaucoma. What is hypersecretory glaucoma? You have more production of aqueous humor. You have more production of aqueous humor. And this condition is called epidemic dropsy. Epidemic dropsy will show. Epidemic dropsy shows hypersecretory glaucoma. Are we clear, friends? So will it cause an optic nerve damage, which is here? You have an optic nerve at the back. Will it cause due to the rise in the pressure? Will it cause an optic nerve damage? Optic nerve damage. Will it cause an optic nerve damage? Now, am I satisfying the definition? What I taught in the beginning? Is the satisfaction, is the definition getting satisfied? Isn't it? Have we satisfied the definition? Progressive damage to the optic nerve. Progressive damage to the optic nerve. Okay. So if you want, I can give you some signs of optic nerve this damage. If you tell me, I can let you know. If you want, if you don't, then we will directly land into pharmacology of this. So late replies are coming, guys. What happened? Needed? Okay. Okay. Let me switch my connection to some other. Okay. Connected to other. Okay. So now maybe faster network. Okay. Everything is, I think, going fine. Maybe messages are displaying late. See, to make life easy and to make life understandable, okay, what are the symptoms that a person will be coming to you? You know, definitely there will be 3 symptoms which you have to remember. Okay, if it is a congenital glaucoma, if there is a congenital glaucoma. By the way, sir, can you tell us, is something can something obstruct this angle? Can there be, can I say, in this trabecular meshwork there can be a disease which is having a congenital abnormality in the formation of this trabecular meshwork? Congenital abnormality, that is called trabecular dysgenesis. Trabecular, I'm connecting pathology here. Dysgenesis, trabecular dysgenesis. Okay. Okay. Can I say plateau iris can cause this? If I say plateau iris, what is plateau iris? Plateau iris means if this iris has flat insertions. Flat iris insertions is called flat iris insertion. This is all I'm talking about congenital, what the baby is born with. Okay, I'm telling you some congenital things, what a baby is born with. So you can have this flat iris. What else can I think on this diagram? So this flat iris, I can also think that here some sort of a membrane formation is occurring in the angle. Let me draw it for you guys. If I have any sort of a membrane formation in this, just make like this, any membrane here, if I have any membrane formation in this region, let us take a different color. So if I have any membrane formation in this region of the angle, I will say this condition is called, there is a membrane that is called Barkan's membrane. Barkan's membrane. Any Barkan membrane formation in the angle will cause a obstruction. So what will be the patient coming to us? If that patient who is having a flat iris, if a patient is having a plateau iris, if a patient is having a Barkan's membrane, if a patient is having trabecular dysgenesis, he will be coming to me. He will be a congenital patient, isn't it? He will be a congenital glaucoma. So he'll be coming to me with watering. He will be showing me symptoms of watering. He will be showing me photophobia, and he will be showing me blepharospasm. What is blepharospasm? What is blepharospasm, guys? Blepharospasm. Blepharospasm. Don't interchange the words. There is hell lot of difference between the two. So blepharospasm is spasm of dash. A simple word, guys, that you also call by dash name, eye twitch. So blepharospasm is eyelid spasm. Okay, eyelid spasm. If the eyelid muscles get into spasm, we say blepharospasm. Okay, this is the, you have to remember. So this will be perceived by you as a doctor. This will be perceived by you as a doctor, not by the patient. Okay, so there are so many things in ophthalmology I don't want to discuss here, but yeah, there will be signs of, I would just speak. Okay, If you are interested, you can write, but it's not required here in the pharmacology. So you can have a, HAPS try is there, white cornea is there, corneal edema can be there. Due to the optic disc pressure, there can be cupping. There can be cupping of the optic disc. Okay, cupping. I will be teaching you that cupping in the ophthalmology lectures. And there will be flattening of the lens. Lens will become flat. Why? Stretch will be there. Pressure is high, so this will stretch. This will stretch. So lens will become like this, flat. Lens will become flat. Okay, stretch, total stretch. And there will be iridodonesis. What is iridodonesis? The iris support will get lost. Iridodonesis. Iridodonesis. Let me write it in a clear word. Iridodonesis. Iridodonesis. Fine. So these are the things. Okay. And the treatment for congenital glaucoma is mostly goniotomy. What is the treatment for congenital glaucoma? Congenital glaucoma patient we treat with treatment of congenital. I'm talking about congenital, guys. Treatment of congenital glaucoma. Treatment of congenital glaucoma is goniotomy. No need to read this in detail right now. We are talking about pharmacology. That's why I'm keeping it limited. Okay. So at least I gave you an idea of what is congenital. You may be thinking about congenital, So it's mostly a surgery that we are, joining those limbus. Okay. And have you understood this open angle and closed angle glaucoma? So what will be your treatment? What do you think? Just remove the angle closure, this congenital glaucoma. Tell me about this angle closure and open angle glaucoma. Where is the diagram? So you please tell me. That means you will be having two treatments. You will be having two treatment strategies. What two treatment strategies? If you have a raised IOP, you have two solutions. One solution is you can decrease the production, because IOP can be because of increased production. So you decrease the production. So first we will write what the IOP was happening due to. It was happening due to increased production, or you were having a decreased drainage, isn't it? Can I say? It was having an increased production and it was having a decreased drainage. So that means you as a doctor will be intervening with these two things. Either you will decrease the production or you increase the drainage. As a doctor, you will be doing like this. I hope it's a common sense. Even a art student can understand it, isn't it? After teaching you everything, if you again say who was the king of the story, then yeah, very nice. So you increase the drainage. So will you take use of an emergency drainage here if your trabecular meshwork is impaired? Can you now understand that I will be using that drug which can open that emergency drainage? Can we understand that emergency drainage? Guys, see the beauty of your concept. You have every concept and see you are writing very nicely, isn't it? So will you use that emergency 10% route, and will it be having its own side effects? That's a beautiful answer. Very nice. Excellent, people. So this is the concept you have to understand. So you will be either decreasing the production or you can either increase the drainage as a doctor. Okay. Who was producing the aqueous humor? Can you get this diagram in your brain? Who was producing the aqueous humor? I would say mostly the blood vessels, isn't it? It's the blood vessels which is producing ciliary process, we can say. Okay, ciliary process. We have that pump and system. So which receptors are present on the blood vessels? Alpha 1, beta 2, alpha 1, beta 2, isn't it? You have two receptors, alpha 1, beta 2. Exactly. NAP, beta. So if I talk about this blood vessel, which is actually supplying the fluid for this aqueous humor, isn't it? Because the source is this fluid, isn't it? Guys, isn't the source whatever you make, any secretion you make from the blood? So any intervention you will be doing with the blood vessel. So what we do, we will be giving, let me write, where is that? Where did I make that? Yeah. So I will be doing, so my blood vessels have which receptors? Alpha 1 and beta 2. I have taught you. If I stimulate alpha 1, what will happen? Vasoconstriction. Vasoconstriction. If I stimulate beta 2, what will happen? Vasodilation. So what do you want here? Do you want vasoconstriction or vasodilation? I want to see. I will kill you. I will kill you people, really. If you are writing dilation, my dears, that means you are allowing more blood to stay there. That means you are allowing more secretions to happen. What a common sense. What you will be giving? You will be giving a constrictor so that blood can move forwards. You don't want that blood to come there. Or don't want the time of that blood to remain there for a long time. So we will be doing vasoconstriction. So will you be giving this treatment? Will you be giving a vasoconstrictive agent? Very nice. Beautiful answer. So will you give beta agonist or beta blocker? Will you give beta agonist? Now you tell me, beta, the person who answered. Will you give beta agonist or beta blocker? We will give beta blocker. Why? Because if we give beta 2 agonist, what will happen? Vasodilation will happen. We don't want vasodilation. We want to block the vasodilation. So what we will do? We will give beta 2 blocker. When we give beta 2 blocker, what will happen? Dilation will not happen. That further dilation will not happen. Are we clear now? If you have any doubts, please let me know. Okay, mistakes can happen. It's okay. If you make mistakes here, it's happy. I'm happy. But don't make mistakes in the hospital. Okay. So this is the vasodilation, which is you will be inhibiting. So you will be giving a beta blocker, and here you will be giving an alpha agonist. So we will be using that. We will be learning tomorrow. I hope you have enjoyed this topic. Stay tuned. See the part 2 of this lecture tomorrow. See you all. Keep reading the books. I hope this has helped you. Take care and bye-bye.